Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first ever episode of CPR Heroes. What are CPR Heroes? What are we doing here? Essentially, our company, CPR Certification Labs, is incredibly proud of the people we serve, whether they be nurses, doctors, police, EMTs, firemen, anyone across the board who's helping society and keeping us safer. In this episode, we're speaking with a gentleman who is a police officer in Texas. His name is Justin Kmiec, and he's an absolutely amazingly caring person who has come to train with us alongside of his wife, and he's here to tell you his story. So without further ado, let's get you in. Justin, you and your wife, Sheila, came out together to do training, and I just think that's fantastic. What is it that you guys both do that made you want to come to get CPR training? Is it required for your jobs, or was it just something you wanted to do?
Well, it's required and important for both of our jobs. My wife, she's a dental hygienist here in the Houston area. So she has to keep her CPR certification up, and hers was about to get to the point to where it's going to be expired. So she's like, "Hey, I'm going to be looking for a class." She goes, "I accidentally put your phone number in when I was trying to find out classes in the area." Well, I'm a police officer for the Houston area, and I was on duty at the time. So she texted me because she knows sometimes I'll answer the phone kind of crazy when people call with like spamming calls. So I said, "Okay, no worries." And so then while I was waiting for, get these weird text messages or phone calls from different places, I went ahead and looked online, and that's how I stumbled across your company. And then me and the wife, we made it like a date night because she said, "Well, do you need to do yours too?" I said, "Well, it's been a while since I've done mine." So I said, "Yeah, why not?" And sent her the link for your company. And like 2 seconds later, she's like, "Okay, I signed us both up." And we made it like a date night.
Boom. So you guys ended up doing your training together.
Yes, sir. We sure did.
All right, and did that go pretty smoothly, or did you have to help each other along the way? How did that go?
It went really smoothly. We helped each other along the way. It was very authentic with the way you have your equipment set up. And it was really neat, as compared to the other CPR classes we've taken in the past, where it's just like the little dummy on the ground that's like half a body made out of plastic. And you listen to an instructor talk for 4 hours, 5 hours, it seems like. And then at the end, you're like, "All right, here's everybody doing it." Like, "Yeah, that looks good. Keep up the good work." But with your equipment, it was super realistic because it would tell, "Okay, you're not pressing deep enough, press harder, you're going it too fast, too slow." So it was very, very real.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I'm happy you guys enjoy it. You know, the reason why we started this company is because um, we are all CPR instructors, and what we've seen is just a massive difference in the quality of different instructions across the country. And the fact is that it's hard to do, it's hard to schedule, and it just takes so much time. And the feedback's typically pretty inaccurate. And so, what we found is that everybody was saying the same thing over and over again. Look, I got my training. I'm not sure if I did it right, but they said I did. And so, with this new technology, it's great because you get that super accurate feedback. So ideally, it's going to help you save more lives. And let me ask you this, Justin. Have you ever been in a situation, or in your role as a police officer, I'm sure you have a few emergency situations that you've come across. Have you ever had to give CPR, or have you been in a situation where you've been involved in a CPR team?
I haven't had to give CPR per se in person. I've been dispatched to calls where the family members had the CPR in progress that they were doing while waiting for EMS to show up and arrive, and got to the scene, and EMS had beat us there to the site, and they were already involved in the roles. So just kind of stood by and assessed everything. And there was one instance where I was working a job as a soccer tournament. The gentleman wound up collapsing. We wound up starting up with the CPR process. Well, EMS, they showed up with the machine. I forget what they call it, but it's like a robotic machine. Yes, and they put him on the stretcher, and then the machine started doing the compressions and everything, and then they did the breath. So that was only the other scene that I had been on. But
Oh, they had a more advanced machine. I got you. An automated CPR.
that's it.
That's fantastic.
That was
Yeah,
really
it's one of these things. It's one of these things in life where you never know when it's going to come up. My father saved a young child's life about it's going to be 35 years ago now. He was drowning in a pool, and my father luckily was CPR trained. My dad, I didn't never told you this, but my father was also in law enforcement, and it's something that runs through our family. He first of all was at the federal level, and then he was a sheriff's deputy, and then after he retired, he was a temporary chief of police in his local community. So I guess that's what you do when you're retired if you've already worked as a police officer for 50 years, 40 years, whatever it was.
yes, sir. That's awesome.
So so your wife also uses this for her work as well.
Yes, sir.
Did you have any difficulties with it, or did you feel like she got through it okay as well?
Yes, sir. She very much uses it for her job as a hygienist. They'll have their patients in the seat, and if anything medically happens while they're in the process of it, well, then they're required to take action. But she went through it just fine and got a lot out of it. And she said the same thing. This was a lot of fun, and I guess it made it even more special because it was the two of us doing it. It's like a date night, and experience that she had was the same in all the other classes. They say, "Oh yeah, you're doing it right," but you never know if you actually are or not. And to be able to actually do it as if it was a real person, that was really significant. I think that's something special that y'all do.
Yeah, yeah. I'm incredibly happy to hear that. I just we want to make sure this is something that people feel is accessible and rewarding for them because if we make it easy to get trained and we make it accurate, we're going to save a lot of lives out there. And so, first of all, we really appreciate you guys coming in to do that, and to do it as a couple is just that's amazing to see you guys both leaning in to help your community like that. That's fantastic.
And it was nice too, that I might add, that it was neat that the scheduling was so easy. I mean, you have it set up to where you can pretty much do it 24/7 to come in and access it without having to, like, okay, where can I find this? Where can I get into it? It's only set limited time. So that was very convenient as well.
Yeah, I appreciate hearing that. That's important, right? Because especially as a police officer or as a lot of the nurses that we train up, schedules can be pretty crazy, and so sometimes you need to come at night or very very early in the morning just to fit these things in. And I'm glad you guys managed to take advantage of that. Now you said you turned this into a date night. What did you do after you did your CPR training and got certified?
Well, after we got certified, we went home and we Netflixed and chilled. I sat up on the couch and watched some Netflix. Prior to getting there to the establishment, we stopped off at the Lupe Tortilla that's right there down the road from your facility there in that area, and had some, good quality Mexican food. And we didn't want to be late for our times that we had scheduled. So then we went there afterwards and did that and went home and just relaxed and had family time and watched some TV. And
That's awesome.
then I woke up the next morning, came in.
That is
And
awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Is Lupe Tortilla one of your favorite places? I will say this: it's one of mine. I ate there when I came down to set up the office in Houston, and I just loved it. I thought it was pretty amazing. I live in California, and everybody out here thinks we have the best Mexican food, but I got to say, I should look over my shoulder, but Houston was crushing it.
yes, sir. It is very good Mexican food. I have to say, it had been a while since we had eaten there, and the wife was saying, "Well, where do you want to eat?" And I said, "Well, as long as it's not all salad don't bring me to just a salad place where they don't have any meat. I'm pretty much easy going. And we hadn't been to Lupe Tortilla in a good bit. And yeah, I remember that they do have some really good food.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Well, that's awesome. That is awesome. Well, I want to shift gears a little bit because we've talked about, my core business, your core career, but you are an entrepreneur yourself, and you have a business that's been pretty successful, don't you? Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, sir. I operate a business I started called Texas Blue Courage Company LLC. Google, Facebook. I mean, on Facebook, Instagram. You can find me by Google and Texas Blue Courage Company LLC. But I'd take shot bullets and I'll turn it into jewelry pieces from handmade, curled. This pendant that I'm wearing right here is from the 50 caliber sniper rifle. I can bring it a little closer. I
Yeah.
shot it in made it into a pendant. So this was from the full
Wow.
size round. I cut it down, curled it. I dropped a 5A quality cubic zirconia in the center, which that's why it has the same really good diamond look. But then the back of it is where like all the powder and stuff would be in. And then of course this part is where the what they call the primer that would strike it and ignite all the stuff. But I'll take
Wow.
bullets like this, turn them into rings, pendants, cufflinks, all different kinds of stuff like that. But I got into it because as a police officer, we work a lot of side jobs after we're off duty at businesses that need, special security. And my wife was always telling me, "You're never home. You're always busy doing that." So I went ahead and took something unique that I utilized in my everyday job and turned it into something that's artful, especially with the negative connotations of handguns and firearms, is to bring something beautiful from that. I've created a whole line of different jewelry that's unique.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Now, I love that you're working with the expended ammunition. Are you also doing some things with copper or other metals as well?
Yes, sir. I've made a wedding band for a person that had lost his wedding band and they wanted something made out of copper. So I went ahead, crafted the ring out of stranded wire copper, twisted it together, heated it with a torch, hammered it on the uh, anvil, and formed a band that turned out really well. And I also do that as well. But a lot of the items are made to order. As long as I've got, minimum 7 to 10 business days, I can craft it if I know the size and stuff. Some of my rings I have are stainless steel, and I utilize a supplier that has the blank signet rings. But then I'm able to take the different calibers, cut them down to form, like this signet ring with either the cubic zirconias in there or just leave it plain like the natural shot bullet on the back end.
That is so cool. That is great. Wow. Okay. Well, that's amazing. And can you tell us what's your do you have a website, or are you on
Yes,
Facebook only?
I've got a website as well. I've got Facebook, and then also somebody said you need to get on Instagram. So then I've got on Instagram too. And if you Google the Texas Blue Courage Company LLC, the website will come on the very first listing. I utilize this small business platform called Square. Uh, for processing all the orders online. So the website link is really long in words, especially with it being the Texas Blue Courage Company LLC together. And then of course Square has to put their ending, I guess, website stuff on there. So it stretches it out really
Yeah.
long.
Justin, the last time we spoke, you mentioned that you were also doing somewhat of a charity project as well involved with your business, right?
Yes, sir, we are. I wound up interacting with a company called Black Wolf, White Wolf Jewelry Designs that I ran across on Instagram, and they were looking for over 300 artists to create a handmade charm, and it's going to be built on a sterling silver belt. Now, over 300 artists have created handmade charms to go on the silver belt, and it's a sweepstakes. that's going to benefit the Justin Cowboy Crisis Fund, and 100% of the proceeds are going to be processed by the Rally Up and transferred over directly to the Cowboy Crisis Fund. And the neat thing about that is the Justin Cowboy Crisis Fund sweepstakes for the Traveling Charm Belt 2025 benefits all of the athletes and family members that were hurt in the rodeo. So this collaboration of over 300 artists from around the country and the world have created a charm or multiple charms to go on this belt, and it's going to tour throughout the country and hopefully get to some influencers and hopefully some named celebrities to showcase it off. And then it's going to end at the national finals rodeo in Las Vegas in December, be on display for 10 days down there. And it's a sweepstakes, so
Wow.
all proceeds are going to go to that. And more information can be found if they look up the Traveling Charm Belt 2025. And there is also a link that I can send you that is formed where people can, access that sweepstakes. But that's something near and
Great.
dear to my heart. One of the charms I created is similar to the pendant I'm wearing, and then also another one I created from my uncle's 300 Winchester Magnum shell casing that he hunted with. Unfortunately, he passed
Okay.
away from COVID September 1st of 2020, and I used his round to create a charm to commemorate that organization that he would be very proud to be part of, because he was big into, the Western rodeo and everything like that. So I know he would be proud too.
That's amazing. Justin, you're just proving yourself to be an incredibly thoughtful person through everything that you do. Um, you know, from what I understand, you've had a career as a police officer helping out your community. You went in to recertify in CPR on your own without having to do so because of your job, and that just shows how much you care. And then beyond that, you've got this additional company, and even through that, you're giving back. And it's just amazing, and it makes us really happy to know that people like you are out there, and that people like you choose to work with us over at CPR Certification Labs, because we're both trying to help everyone out there. Well, there you have it. That was our very first episode of CPR Heroes by CPR Certification Labs. As you noticed at the end there, I had some technical difficulties. Well, that comes from doing this for the very first time. But we do want to send out a heartfelt thank you to Justin for joining us and being such an incredible asset to his community there in Texas. We look forward to serving more and more of you as we grow across Texas and indeed across the Midwest and then out east, which we're going to be doing soon. Just as a reminder, CPR Certification Labs automates the CPR training process. We have changed the game in CPR training, taking things from something that took 4 hours in a class where you got some random feedback from someone who perhaps didn't give you the best advice along the way, to something that's very standardized, very accurate, incredibly efficient, and very effective, and something that can be done any hour of any day in about an hour's time to get your recertification done or to certify for the first time. We focus on serving folks in the medical industry, in emergency services, and other people who need CPR training and certification from the American Heart Association in order to continue serving that community. And we thank you for watching us and look forward to seeing you next time.